Hi there. Hi everyone. I'm just seeing as people are jumping on. Welcome to the webinar today. Really great to see everyone here joining on various platforms. I know we're going out to quite a few different platforms today. So wherever you're watching from, wherever you're joining me from, thank you very much for being with me. We're going to cover some really interesting stuff today, all to do with WhatsApp. So I'm really excited to share loads of insights with you. I'm going to dive straight in just a second, waiting for people to come on. Just to say, if you want to ask any questions in the chat, please do. Only I will see them, well, depending on what platform you are on, but I will then come to them at the end. So please feel free, as things occur to you, as I'm covering stuff, to pop your questions in there, and then I'll come back to them at the end and be able to answer them all. So yeah, what we're going to talk about today. So we'll talk about WhatsApp. So I'm guessing the reason you're on here is because you're interested in knowing how WhatsApp can help your business, your attraction, your event, whatever business that you're in, whatever organization you're working for. WhatsApp is definitely going to be able to help you in terms of engagement, communications, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is what we're going to look at. I'm going to talk about how WhatsApp can have a really powerful impact on visitor engagement. But as I said, this is going to be really relevant at whatever business you're in, whatever organization you're in. You're going to see some really amazing ideas for how you can use WhatsApp in a way that you probably don't even realize that you can. And we're going to look at how effective it is in terms of increasing engagement, but how to best use it as well, so that you get the best out of it. So just as a very brief introduction, so if you don't know me, if you've not come across me before, my name's Helen, and yeah, I help businesses make messaging magic on WhatsApp. That's one of the things I do. So I've run my own digital agency for 25 years. I've run my agency with my husband Brett. So we've obviously done a lot of projects over the years, worked in a lot of industries. We're, real experts in the whole digital and media world because we've done it for a long time. And we've also worked a lot in the event space, run our own events, all that kind of thing. For the last few years, we've really created a real specialism in chatbot technology. And more recently, in the last couple of years, WhatsApp, because obviously WhatsApp is exploding in terms of how effective it is and what you can do. And so that's why we're going to be talking about that today. So let's get into the meat. Let's start talking about WhatsApp, because that's what we want to know about. So this, I think, it really sums it up. So nowadays, we're in a world where people are bombarded with emails that they often don't even read. Don't know if you're like me, you go down, delete, you look at the stuff that's relevant. The trouble is sometimes you miss stuff that you actually want to see because it goes into your junk or your other folder. But we always check WhatsApp, don't we? So it's personal, it's trusted. So it's a really fast way to build connection, but it has to be done in the right way. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to do it in the right way. I did a really interesting poll recently, actually, which had really good engagement on LinkedIn, where I talked about what people's concerns were with using WhatsApp as a business. And interestingly, the number one concern that people had was that it was going to be spammy, or they were going to be seen as spam. And that I thought was fascinating, because it's actually the reverse. And we'll talk about that shortly. But WhatsApp, because of the way it's set up, it's actually, the spam filters are so strict. As a tool, if you're using it in the right way, it won't be spam, because people want to hear from you. And that is what we're going to talk about today, how to use it in a way that actually engages people, gets those high engagement rates, those 90% read rates, and actually increases the objectives for you and better communications. So you're not going to be spamming people, you're not going to be doing anything you shouldn't be, and most importantly, you're going to be engaging the people you want to engage. So yeah, let's look at how we can do that. Before we look at the how, I just want to cover a little bit of the stats about WhatsApp. I do think it's really important to set the scene for why businesses, and particularly businesses who are in the consumer sector, who are in events, who are in tourism, who are in hospitality, businesses who have large audiences, why WhatsApp is really, really useful. So the open rates are really high, as we've just mentioned, and you compare that to email rates, it's a no-brainer. The amount of people that are using WhatsApp all over the world. So there's people, I know there's people on here from different countries, because there always are. I did a webinar back in January it was to hundreds of people, where about 70% of them were actually outside of the UK, which is unusual actually for me, because obviously our business is mainly UK clients, although we can work anywhere. But it just shows that WhatsApp is a worldwide application. And so that's it, just like email, everyone uses it, everyone understands it, and there's not that many applications actually that you can say are truly worldwide, but also hit across the different demographics of age ranges. All ages use WhatsApp. Pretty much all the demographics, all types of people, even people who don't have a computer have a phone. I'll tell you an interesting story about that later. But it's so accessible, so that is a big plus for WhatsApp. And the response rates that you get are really high. So there are a few key statistics. So as we've mentioned, there is a problem with email now. And the main problem is not just using it in a marketing sense, but if you actually need to get communication through to a customer that is critical to the delivery of your product or your service or your event. So let's take an event, for example. If you're running an event and you are sending event confirmations, an email, you're sending you need dietary requirements, you're sending information for attendees to book workshops or to access pre-event messaging. If that's all being sent in email and they don't get your email, it's a problem for you and it's a problem for them. So as the user, as the delegate, that's annoying. I was with someone yesterday and they said to me, oh my goodness, I can't tell you the amount of events I've been to in the last 2 months where I've been scrabbling around in my phone trying to find the information for how to get there, or the ticket information, or parking, or that kind of thing. It's a pain for you as an attendee. So actually, if you can make it simple, if you can make it easy, and that's what we can do with WhatsApp. So make it easy for our customers to communicate with us. And that is going to obviously have massive impacts across so many parts of your business. So as I've said, the open rates are really high and your click rates can become super high because you're sending messages to people who want to hear from you. They've opted in. So you're not just sending them on a whim. So that's why your click-through rates are high. And so that is brilliant because you know that the people who you're sending messages to, it's super engaged and super targeted. We can segment our audiences, which I'll show you a bit about later, which mean that we can get really, really relevant as well with what we're sending to them. And that's why the click-through rate is so high as well. So the other thing that I think is really important to remember about WhatsApp is that it's a trusted app that people use generally for friends and family contacts, more now for business as well. So people are used to getting business communication through it, but because they're also using it for friends and family, it's a really trusted application for them in the first instance. So they receive a WhatsApp message, it's something they look at, they take notice of immediately because of the way they use it and the way that people are regularly on it. What is really interesting as well is it feels more personal. So when you receive a WhatsApp message, it feels like it's come to you personally rather than just like an email out to everyone, news blast sort of thing. So it feels very personal. So that's really important in your sort of brand when you're building up a personal brand, and you're getting across to people that actually want them to feel loyal to you. So that's that personal feeling. And also, what's really interesting when you compare WhatsApp to social channels is that, so with all the social media like Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media platforms, their objective is to keep you on their platform for as long as possible. Actually, WhatsApp's objective is for you to take action, engage in the messaging, and then come off the platform, get on with what you're doing. So that's a key difference between WhatsApp and normal social media platforms. So it's all about action, which is brilliant if you're using it as a business. So as we've said, we've got proven results, and because you're making conversations feel more natural, it doesn't feel like marketing. So as a marketeer, it's an absolute dream. So let's go into a little bit of the how. How does it work? Because you may or may not know, WhatsApp is owned by Meta, so it's part of the kind of Meta suite, which is brilliant, because as much as there's obviously Meta is a big beast, it's really good because it's within their suite of products, and it means that there's so much functionality that we can do, which I will come to in a second. The key thing to understand as a business, and for us to look at now before we go into the strategies and the ideas and everything that I'm going to cover, is the difference between WhatsApp Business and WhatsApp Business API, because that's the first thing that people need to understand in that how we can do the advanced things that I'm about to show you, and it's through using WhatsApp Business API version. So you have WhatsApp Business is a version of WhatsApp Personal. So obviously we all use WhatsApp as a personal app, and that's on our phone, and we message friends and family. As a business, you can then set up a business version of that. So you can have another WhatsApp application on your phone. It's got a business number, and there is a bit more functionality than you can use as a personal user. There's a bit of automation. There's some limited features. There's some catalog stuff. There's some, quite cool stuff that you can do, but it's limited. And the main thing is you're still using it on the device as WhatsApp, and you're going back and forth, and it's mainly for manual messaging and things like that. What we're talking about doing, and what we help businesses to do, is use WhatsApp through the Business API version, which plugs into the back end of the Meta Business Suite. So that's where the Meta link comes in, and uses a third-party piece of software to actually build up flows, journeys, conversational pieces, automations. We use AI, all the clever stuff that I'm about to show you. So that's done in a third-party piece of software. What that means is, as the business, you are managing it from that piece of software. You're not managing it from a WhatsApp application on a phone. The user is getting it all in WhatsApp on their phone as normal, but you're managing it from this third-party piece of software, which makes it really, really powerful. And there's so much that we can then do. Things like, this is just literally a tip of the iceberg, but we can automate replies. We can, like I say, there's AI functionality for managing customer service and all that kind of thing. We can run campaigns and competitions. We're going to go through some of these ideas in detail. You can make it a really rich media experience. So you can put videos in there, you can have multiple choice questions and answers, you can have images, you can have PDFs, and all of that stuff they can access within the WhatsApp chats, and not having to actually go off, click on links and access videos elsewhere on YouTube or whatever. It's all within the WhatsApp chat. So it's super easy, really accessible. You can handle hundreds, thousands of conversations. They can be assigned to different agents. There's a live chat element. Obviously, it's 24/7 availability, and everything is tracked and measurable and linked to your CRM if you want that, which I'll come into in a minute. So, so there's so much you can do by using WhatsApp in this way. But for the user, the experience they're getting is a really, really useful conversation on WhatsApp on their phone. So the software we use is called ManyChat. So we're agency, the specialist agency providers of this, and we've been using ManyChat for over 5 years. So we're really specialists. My team are amazing in ManyChat. They're ManyChat educators. What they don't know, no one knows really about ManyChat. They really know their stuff. So the way we work with clients to help them to use ManyChat and build up all the automations, the journeys, and use WhatsApp in the ways that I'm going to show you. Obviously, anyone can go on and create a ManyChat account and start doing it, and that's absolutely fine. And if that's something you want to explore, go on to ManyChat, have a look at it, open an account. You can explore the features yourself. What I would say is quite complicated, and the reason we exist is because obviously we save the time and the headache, and we have the expertise and the strategy. We know what works. So that's what we help our clients to achieve success with WhatsApp journeys and funnels and all the ideas that we're going to talk about, and we can do it quickly and obviously save loads of time and money and all that kind of thing by doing that. But it's important to know the back end of how we do it and how you do it. So as I said, any questions about ManyChat, do speak to me, and I'm always happy to share our expertise there. So let's just give you an idea of what it could look like, what different funnels and things can look like. So we can, as I said, have images there, we can have menus, we can have videos, and we're going to look at some examples in a bit more detail shortly. But the other thing to really understand some of the power of what you can do, particularly when you use ManyChat as the software and the enabler for your WhatsApp. You can create these really interesting and complex lead funnels. But when I say complex, they're complex in that, yes, they're complex potentially in the build, but actually for the user, they're dead easy. But for you as a business, what you can do and the information you can glean and the data that you can then use to help you to get super targeted with your messaging and increase your conversions is amazing. So this is an example from the different funnel that someone will go through in their WhatsApp journey with you. We would then pull information into a spreadsheet, and that can then be used for analysis. It can also then pull across into your CRM system. So there's some really intricate stuff that you can do that then feeds back into the WhatsApp, that then sends them nudges and little reminder messages or further broadcasts based on actions they've taken and information you've got, really. So so that's a kind of visual example of that kind of thing. And this is another one. This shows, this is a broadcast that was sent from a competition that we ran for a client, which then I'll come on to shortly, exactly how we did that and the steps of that. But you can see here, so 99% of messages were delivered and 93% of people clicked on that, and all that information then got pulled into that spreadsheet, and we then had a lot of information then to work with to be able to send them further, more relevant messaging. So you can see the power of that, and an actual case study of how successful that campaign was. So let's look at who WhatsApp can work best for. I mean, so I mentioned at the beginning, consumer facing organizations, absolutely brilliant. Anyone with large audiences, anyone who's communicating with the general public, so events, hospitality, anyone who has a customer who is out and about on their phone, because if they're on their phone, then WhatsApp is way more easy for them to engage with than email. So all of those kind of organizations. But then you've also got your organizations like your membership organizations, your charities, your subscription services, where you've got regular comms that you need to be delivering to your members and to people who want to hear from you, and you want to do it in a way that's easy, that's interactive, and that's accessible for them. So yeah, as I said, really wide range of, and we have a huge range of different and varied clients who WhatsApp is working really well for. Let's look at some of the types of ways we can use it. So rather than it just being a straightforward messaging app, which obviously it is, and we will talk about how to use it in customer service, there's all these really interesting ideas that you can use in order to actually start the conversation with people, nurture people, get people more engaged in your brand. So we're going to talk about some of these ideas now. So I'm going to talk about surveys and feedback. I'm going to talk about wait lists. There's a huge amount of evidence at the moment is in the marketing world as to how wait lists work really, really well for any type of business, but especially for events. So if you're launching tickets for an event, for example, setting up a wait list is proven to be really, really successful way of selling your event out more quickly and more easily. So what you're doing is you are getting people to sign up for the wait list. Obviously, you're then nurturing them on the wait list, and then you're giving them that sense of anticipation, FOMO, all that kind of stuff. And then when the tickets are available, bam, you're letting them know first. Wait list people get to know first, and they buy, and you sell out. And I mean, not just for events, for product launches, all kinds of things, wait lists are really helpful for. If you do it on WhatsApp, you absolutely supercharge what you can do, because people see the messages. Running wait lists in email is fine, but you are relying on people seeing the email in order to remember that the wait list tickets are about to be available, or the ticket launch is opening. If you're on WhatsApp, they will see it. So wait list is a brilliant way. Nurture campaigns, I'm going to walk you through how to run a competition and why you would do that, but there's so many ways you can nurture people with WhatsApp. We're going to talk about website leads, how you can actually use WhatsApp on your website, and why it's so much more effective than just having someone do a passive visit to your website. If you can get them into a WhatsApp conversation, you can follow up and you can turn that website visitor into a really engaged, proactive journey. Customer service. I was speaking to someone at a charity the other day who said they get 15,000 contacts from people a year, which are a lot of the same messages about a particular area this is of their charity service. It's a particular training service they do. 15,000, and they have this manually, someone's manually dealing with them all. So if you can have that on WhatsApp and automate a lot of it, you're going to save your team so much time and provide a more efficient service for your customers as well. Customer onboarding. Imagine if you've got someone who's become a customer, and this is particularly relevant as well for events, if you can then send them some pre-visit or pre-information about where they're going, what they're doing. But also if they've bought something, you can send them videos, audio messages, images to help to onboard them more effectively with what they've just purchased. Community engagement is a big one for WhatsApp at the moment, because obviously communities are on WhatsApp. You don't have to use a group. So WhatsApp groups, we all find them quite annoying, don't we? When there's 10,000 people on a group and you don't know half the people on there and they're all chipping in. Actually, you can do your customer community engagement piece in the way that I'm going to show you without having to have everyone in a group. And as I've already said, events communications is really, really big way to use WhatsApp. So if you're in events, you definitely need to be thinking about this. So I'm going to talk about triggers, how you actually get people into your WhatsApp channel, because there's various trigger points. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the key thing is with your WhatsApp channel is people are coming into it, and then so they're generally initiating the contact with you. If you're broadcasting a message to them, it's because they've already opted into your channel, or they've purchased something from you and agreed for you to contact them on WhatsApp, that kind of thing. But there are other trigger points that you can bring them in via social media ads. You can bring them in via forms. So when people have a form on their website to collect details, either for a newsletter or to download a free PDF or to get an offer code, you can trigger that to send it to them in WhatsApp as well as email. So that again, you're then bringing them into that WhatsApp conversational journey, and then you 9 times out of 10 people will opt into that channel then, and then you will be able to have an ongoing communication via WhatsApp with them. What's brilliant is you can also bring them in from an offline position. So from print, from posters, QR codes on print. So we've just launched a new campaign for a client and it's a competition, and they've got posters around their site with the QR code, and the uptake of that has been amazing. So customers on site are scanning the QR code, coming into WhatsApp and entering the competition. This is great for if you're at exhibitions, any kind of events where you're representing your company, or as I say, if you're in a hospitality leisure type business, and you can bring people in to your WhatsApp when they're actually on site for a particular reason. So it might be for a competition campaign, or it might be to get more information, it might be to get an offer, it might be to get a menu. Accessing menus through QR codes is a brilliant way to get them in, because once they've come in and accessed the menu, you can then send them a follow-up message saying, did you enjoy your meal? Did you enjoy your visit? And send them a feedback survey and all that kind of thing. So that's it's really important to understand the different types of triggers and the variety of triggers points you can have. As I've said, alluded to before, using WhatsApp on your website is a really, really powerful technique of actually then creating a more curated journey for your website visitor. So if you have a WhatsApp button at strategic points on your website, now that can go into a general inquiry, which then has AI set up to deal with whatever questions they have. That's fine. But what is even more powerful is on different pages, if you have a WhatsApp button that leads to a specific funnel about that page they're on. So for example, here we've got a party. So one of our clients has a WhatsApp button on their party page, so that when a potential customer's on their party page looking for information about the kids' birthday parties, they can actually go into WhatsApp. It will immediately say, thank you for your asking for information about our parties. It will then give them an image, it will give them a video, it will ask them a few questions about what kind of party they're looking to book, how old their child is, those kind of things. And then it will serve them the most appropriate responses based on their answer to the questions. And so what you're doing there is you're creating that much more personalized journey really immediately. You're building up that loyalty, that really strong branding with your company. You're being really helpful. And then the power comes in the fact that you can follow up. So because you've then got their data, because they made that inquiry, even if they don't complete and book in that session, which, let's face it, a lot of people don't, particularly with something like a kids' party, they'll get the information and they'll maybe go off and have a think about it, have a chat to their partner, whatever. We then have conditions set up to then send them a WhatsApp message. It might be a few hours, it might be a day, it might be a week later, saying, did you still want to book your party? Can we help you further? We saw that you were interested in this type of party. Would little Johnny still like this part? So you can do that personalized follow-up. So it reminds people about you, and it's more likely to get seen, because if they might have inquired via email, the alternative is, and you might then email them back, but it's not as likely to get noticed. If you then send them the WhatsApp messages as a follow-up, they're much more likely to get noticed. So that's a really powerful one. And we've got a client who uses this on their website, and they use these WhatsApp lead funnels, and they've increased their conversions by 74%, which is massive. Just in 4 months of using it. So I'd really recommend you look at using WhatsApp in this way for your website. This is an example again of how you might, if for example, if a company is selling spa breaks, you can have a specific WhatsApp funnel to go on their spa breaks page. So if they're a hotel, they'll have lots of other offerings for their website. But if you go into a WhatsApp funnel that's specifically about the spa breaks and take them into that very curated journey, then you're increasing your conversions. And like I say, the nudges and the follow-ups are really a powerful part of that. I'm going to talk about Black Friday because even though it's not nearly Black Friday at the moment, depending on when, if you're watching this on replay, you might watch it later in the year. But at the moment, it's not anywhere near Black Friday. We're just going into Easter, obviously. However, Black Friday is an example of the kind of campaign that you can run with this kind of waitlist concept and with any kind of seasonal special offer that you have. The reason Black Friday works really well on WhatsApp, by the way, if you do Black Fridays, it's worth thinking ahead now to it and getting this planned in. It works really well because on Black Friday, as we're aware, everyone gets tons and tons of emails. Customers are just bombarded with offers on email. So actually, if you can stand out and do it on WhatsApp, it's much more interactive, it's much more instant, and you get much better results. So definitely this year, if you do Black Fridays, do them on WhatsApp. If you take away anything from this webinar, that is my suggestion. How does it work? So you get people to sign up to your Black Friday offers waitlist. So you start the campaign usually early November, sign up to our WhatsApp here, and you're obviously giving them the exclusivity. You're only going to be sharing these offers to your WhatsApp people. They're going to be your best offers. You're giving them FOMO, all that kind of stuff. So you're getting them to sign up. Depending on what you're selling, this one particular client that we do this for, they will actually they'll have 3 offers. And when you come into WhatsApp, you can actually choose which offer you're most interested in. And you can go back and choose another one respectively as well. But what's really powerful is they choose the offer, that information will get sucked into a spreadsheet as well. So that then when the actual offer goes live, when it is just before Black Friday, they'll get sent the details of that specific offer. So it's really, really targeted. So what's really good about that is that you're also getting some information about your customers. So if you might have 3 different product offerings for different types of customers, you know what type of customer they are. If it's a restaurant, for example, and you might be offering something for couples, something for families, something for kids, that kind of thing, you're actually getting some information about your customer. So yeah, Black Friday is a good way of really driving a lot of traffic very effectively and very efficiently. What it also means is, so the notification will then go out on WhatsApp. Usually for our clients, we'd say do on the Thursday before Black Friday is live. So only people on WhatsApp get the option to buy through WhatsApp, through the deals, because they've signed up to the list. And then there's a couple of notifications that will go out through the day. So obviously people who then bought don't get reminded, but people who have clicked but not bought will have conditions set up so they get reminded. Don't forget, you've only got an hour left, that kind of thing. So you're really, really increasing your touch points and likelihood of selling out and getting more sales, basically. So this can work really well for any kind of seasonal event, any kind of campaign that you're doing throughout the year where you want to build up excitement, anticipation to a particular event or a promotion that you're running. So it doesn't have to just be on Black Friday. And this leads in nicely to the waitlist concept, which I've already spoken about in the sense of how powerful it is. So what's really interesting about this particular waitlist that we ran for a client was that we got some information from the customers when they signed up for the waitlist. This was for a summer pass. So they put the communications out saying so many summer passes available at this price. So it was a stupidly good deal. And they had it was an indoor entertainment attraction. So they had the posters and the communication on site. They had staff talking to visitors, all that kind of thing. They also did it on social. They shared it on their social and they emailed it out to their list. They had it as part of the ticket confirmation. So everywhere that customers could see the opportunity for them to join the waitlist, they were told about it. When they went in to join the waitlist, they were asked how old their children were. So are your children between 0 and 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 16, for example? The reason that was really helpful is this particular client runs different types of events and special events for different age kids. So what they're able to do is then send future relevant messaging to people with kids in that age bracket. So again, that's an example of getting really relevant with your customers and feeling really personalized, because as a customer, if you've got teenagers, you're not getting messages saying, come to our preschool event, because you're thinking, well, I've got preschool kids, but you'll get messages saying your teenager's going to love this. And you can do this segmenting of whatever business you're in, whatever organization. That segmenting piece is really, really important to do. And doing it at the point of them joining a wait list is a really easy way to get that information, that data, and then filter that down to make the subsequent messaging really relevant. So yeah, running a wait list in this way, very, very powerful. And what we find is when the wait list, then the tickets go live and the waitlist people get contacted on WhatsApp, the click-through rates are really high, because people, they see the message, they action it, they go straight through, they want to buy it, they don't want to miss out. So yeah, really, really powerful. I can send you some videos. If anyone on this presentation wants to see any of these campaigns in more detail, wants me to walk through them, show you video, I'm not going to show you the videos now because time is of the essence, and I want to give you as much different ideas as I can. But do let me know. There's a QR code at the end. You can just contact me and I'll send you some more information, and I'll send you a summary of all the slides and everything as well today. So I mentioned before I was going to walk you through how to run a competition campaign on WhatsApp. Why does a competition campaign work so well? Because you're bringing people will come into it because people want to, generally, they're really keen to enter competitions together, particularly if they're a customer and they are liking what you offer. It doesn't always have to be, the prize doesn't always have to be the thing that you sell. So for example, if you run a leisure attraction, you don't necessarily have to give away tickets, although you can. That's brilliant and people want that. What you could do is give away a tangible product with the tickets, and we find this works really well. So around Christmas, we'll do like toy hampers for clients. Easter, brilliant time to do. We've done in the past luxury Easter eggs, sort of one for you, one for a friend, luxury Easter egg hamper. Or you might do, obviously all kinds of prizes that you can do, and you can even partner up with companies who are offer, have the same audience, and holiday companies, that kind of thing. So you can partner up with other companies to offer really great prizes. So we always recommend a good prize, because then you get people coming in. People then come into WhatsApp, they say, yeah, we want to enter the competition. And by the way, they can come in from socials as well. So what's really important to realize about the power of a WhatsApp competition, as opposed to the power of just a competition on Instagram, for example, is that you are going to get the data and you're going to be able to offer them something as a thanks for entering. So when people do competition generally on Instagram without any kind of automation attached, it runs really well as a brand awareness campaign, but you can't do anything with all the people who comment to enter because they've just commented to enter. It's a very manual process. If you actually get them to comment, so we use some automation to actually send them a DM and then get them across into WhatsApp. So you're getting them into WhatsApp, you're immediately getting their data. You're asking them if they want to be notified of when the prize is drawn. Most people say, yes, we want to be notified. So they've come into the WhatsApp channel, they've said, yes, we want to be notified. When you then draw the competition, we then send everyone who's entered and wants to be notified a message saying, we've drawn the competition, come and see if you've won. So they go in, they go through a little sequence within WhatsApp. They often will do a spin the wheel video, that kind of thing, where they can actually spin the wheel, see if they've won. If they have won, brilliant, it will take them down a flow saying, congratulations, you've won, here's how to claim your prize, etc. If they haven't won, it will say, sorry, you didn't win. However, as a thank you for entering, here is a 20% off voucher. Here is a link to a particular offer, some kind of call to action. What you're doing then is, so you're not only capturing the data from them entering the competition, but you are able to actually get a return on investment for that competition if you're selling something that you're looking to drive people to at that time. So you can actually drive people to purchase something, to buy tickets, that kind of thing. even if you do it as a brand awareness campaign, it's great because you've got the data. So now this is a way that you've then built up your WhatsApp broadcast list, and you can then send future messaging, again, like we said before, relevant messaging. It might be news, it might be offers, that kind of thing. And you're going to send that at a reasonable frequency, so not too often, but in the same way that you would on email, but you're going to be sending it on WhatsApp. So your read rate and your engagement rate is going to be far higher than when you send it on email. And the way you've got them into be able to deliver that to them is through the competition. So that's why competition works really well. So this can work brilliantly for sport clubs, all kinds of organizations. And like I say, it can be triggered from online social media, from offline, from flyers, from QR codes, from a website. You can trigger it from pretty much anywhere really to get people into WhatsApp. So I want to move on now and talk about another way to get people. So we've talked about competitions as one way to get people into WhatsApp. Another way is doing some kind of fun quiz or an interactive type journey. So I've got here quizzes are a good example, but there's so many types of quizzes you can run, or if you're a business type organization, for example, gyms will do a brilliant. So we work with a gym who runs a gym, a successful chain of gyms, and he will have lots of people come in on his quiz, which is working out what kind of workout they need to do. And this is quite a complex quiz actually, his, because it has different elements to do with, they put in their age, they put in how often they exercise, how much they eat, that kind of stuff. And it actually then, we work up the algorithm to give the person a response based on the input. So that's quite a complex one. You can do something much more simple. So which one of these are you? What type of personality type quiz? We've done one for a holiday company. What's your ideal type of holiday? Have 5, fun questions, and then it tells them at the end what their best type of holiday is. So there's loads of different kind of quizzes. The ideas of the world is your oyster really with in terms of ideas. So and can help you come up with creative ideas. But it's about having something that your customer wants to engage in. So something that they think is interesting, helpful for them, and that actually brings them in and starts the conversation. So the thing is with WhatsApp, it's not about just going straight for the sale. It's about nurturing them. It's about starting that conversation with your brand, with your organization, and then nurturing that along the way. And that's when you get your powerful results with WhatsApp. And the great thing about the quiz model here is, again, you can pull the information into a spreadsheet so that you can then use that for future follow-ups. So this is an example of, so we did one for a franchise company, and the information that people put in the quiz actually can get pulled through into a spreadsheet. So for example, if you're doing an exhibition or a trade show, people can actually do the quiz, or in WhatsApp there, they can actually then, you can follow them up with a very bespoke follow-up based on the information they've given you. And all that information is accessed by a spreadsheet. So it's really efficient for your sales team. Let's talk about VIP clubs, because we talked about brand loyalty just then. And I think that's really one of the great things you can do with WhatsApp is create something like a VIP club. And because you can make it feel very exclusive, very personal, and as I've said a few times here now, you can really get very targeted and segmented with the information that you have from your subscribers, and therefore you can send the VIP club members offers that are relevant to them. So it's a really, really good way of building up that brand loyalty and that nurture piece. So there's a lot of ways that you can use VIP clubs. Going to talk about events and using pre-visit information in WhatsApp. So this might be if you're leisure attraction, even for restaurants, for hotels, business events, consumer events, anything like that, really. This is really, really helpful way to use WhatsApp. So when someone actually buys a ticket or registers for the event, rather than just sending them all the information in email, you can send it in this interactive way in WhatsApp. They can choose what information to access. So they can choose if they, what for here, what do I expect? What do I bring? You can manage things like dietary requirements this way. That's really interesting because if you are managing, if you really need pre-visit information from a group of customers, you can actually ask them for it on WhatsApp. The people who give it to you, obviously it will go into a spreadsheet. The people who then maybe haven't responded to that, they can then be tagged, and only those can receive the follow-ups. The people who have given you the information, you don't need to message them anymore. The people who you're still needing information from, you can be sending them the reminders. I think that's a really interesting way of presenting your brand in a much more efficient way, because we've all had it where we've keep getting emails and we think, well, I've sent you the information, but it's because they're just sending everyone the emails. They're not necessarily segmenting it. And that doesn't feel very efficient as a user. So you can portray your company in a much more efficient way by using WhatsApp in this kind of way, because you're making it much easier for your visitors and your customers. You're giving them a better visitor experience. You're minimizing confusion and giving more confidence in your brand. And there's so much you can do, and you can send them before their visit that really helps with that. Even things like if you have to have your customers fill out liability waivers and things like that, you can do all that via WhatsApp, and therefore really make it much more efficient when they arrive at your venue, not just for them, but for you and your team as well. So that pre-visit information part is, I think, very, very successful. Feedback and surveys is a brilliant thing you can do post-event. So a lot of places now will send a feedback, and they'll send a request for you to give feedback or a survey, that kind of thing. Now, let's be honest, most people, when you get them on email, do you really click through and do them? Most people don't. If people get them on WhatsApp, particularly if they've had a really good experience, they're likely to do it because it's easy, it's quick, and they can just hit the buttons. Yes, it was great. The other brilliant thing is that you can get user-generated content from them. And this really, really works because people have the video and the photos on their phone. And if they've had a great time, they want to share it, particularly if you say to them, if you share it, with us we'll share it on our socials, or we'll give you a 10% off voucher as a thank you for sharing your photos. People will do it. Again, it's easy because it's on their phone. So everyone knows in WhatsApp, you just go add, you access the photo, you send it, bam. On the business's end, it goes into a spreadsheet. So it's dead easy to access. And to see what feedback and user content you've got, and you've got a much bigger input of people actually providing that information to you. So it really is a no-brainer to do feedback and surveys in WhatsApp if you're in any kind of business where that's really important to you to get the customer feedback. Post-event messaging includes feedback, so that's a really important part of it. But also things like if you're running an event, if you might be running a business event where you want to send people post-event resources, slides, details for presenters that have been sponsor details. I mean, even for things like festivals and outdoor events, obviously are happening, starting to ramp up now and going to be happening all the way through the summer. They all have sponsors. They all have people who want to actually get in front of the attendees. Now, as part of the post-event messaging sequence, you can actually give those companies or those organizations visibility. So you can send out offers, you can send out thank yous, you can even send out like thank you videos, make it again feel really personal. So imagine if you're running an outdoor festival, large scale festival, the organizers or an ambassador who's maybe a recognizable face that you can actually have a video with that person that can come through to people after they've visited to say, thank you so much for coming this weekend. We've had such a great time. And then you can also send them the early bird offer for next year, get them to buy their ticket while they're feeling good, while they're on a high, while they've enjoyed the time. And in a very exclusive way, you give them some kind of exclusive deal on that, presumably an early bird ticket. So because you're sending it through WhatsApp rather than just email, they're more likely to see it, engage with it, and again, share their feedback and their user content, their videos and their photos and all that kind of stuff. So we're coming to the end now, but there's a couple more things just to talk about, which is the broadcast campaign delivery. So we've talked a lot about campaigns and how you can actually get people to come in, competitions, waitlist, feedback, event messaging, all that kind of stuff. But once you've got a list of all your raving fan customers and your attendees or whatever, you can do so much then with them on an ongoing basis, and you can do much better communications by broadcasting to them through WhatsApp. So really important, as we've said, that we're not over sending messages. You're not doing it too regularly, and you're not being considered a pest, because you are going into that channel that people really trust and really value. But if they want to hear from you, and if they are a raving fan customer, they do want to hear about what's coming next, what offers and what news you've got. So if you get the frequency of your messaging right, it can be really, really powerful and really effective. And you can see here that we've got some really good numbers there of broadcast campaigns that were delivered in, over 90% open rate in those cases, and really high click-through rates. So rather than just sending a newsletter in an email, think about sending it in a WhatsApp. You can make it really interactive. Another thing that we do for one of our clients is we send 2-day motivational messages to their audience, their motivational audio messages. So this is for a company who provides support for families. It's families and parents who need that regular motivation, tips, things like that, just to keep them going with the challenges that they're facing. And you can do that in any type of organization where you're providing any kind of support or nurturing. You can send little motivational messages, and it can be really powerful, especially if they're done as audio or video, because they feel very personal. So I'm going to wrap up shortly, because I'm aware that I'm coming towards the end of my time, but I'm just going to go through a few slides here that just show. So we've talked a lot about the different elements of, so we've talked about using WhatsApp as marketing, as campaigns to get people in, as lead generation. We've talked about it as once they're customers, of pre-visit information, all that kind of thing, follow-ups. So let's just run through some screens now to show you how it can work all together for a client of ours who was a business organization. This shows how, so they use it as live chat. So there's the live chat element to it. So for this particular business organization, they have very few people who can actually resource the email, the telephone number, and all that kind of thing. So actually having the live chat in WhatsApp is really, really important to them, because it means live chat, the AI responses pick up on a lot of the communication that needs to happen. But anything that then goes to an agent, there can be multiple people set up that can receive that and actually deal with that. So that's really helpful. But so the ticket holder confirmation, so this is shown from start to finish really with this business organization. So the person buys a ticket, they then get the confirmation on WhatsApp. So in this instant, they've actually bought it through Eventbrite. We've set up a trigger so that once they've put their phone number in Eventbrite, they then get a WhatsApp message that they've agreed to that gives them all their pre-information for the event they're going to. So they get They can tell us about dietary requirements. They get information about where it is, pictures of the venue, addresses, parking details, etc., etc. After they've visited, they then get the follow-up, which we've talked about. They then, in this instance, they get an opportunity to apply for membership. This could be the same for sort of applying, getting a VIP membership, for joining a VIP club, that kind of thing. They then, application to join, they then get sent through to a payment link. So again, this is the same if you're selling anything off the back of coming into a nurture flow. You can actually send them to a payment link, and then once they've actually made a payment, then the WhatsApp, we will trigger it so that it says thank you very much for your purchase, and can actually give them some post-purchase messaging and welcome them to whatever it is that they are. And then, like I say, we've got then the live chat function as well. So that's really an all-encompassing way that it can be used for any types of organisation, really. We've got the reminders and nudges in place at various points. So when people are in a flow or in a sequence of messaging, if they drop out at any point, we set up conditions to an hour later, 24 hours later, just send them a little reminder saying, did you still want to continue? That kind of thing. You wouldn't believe the amount of conversions you then get from reminding people, because we're all busy. We're all, we'll be on our phone looking at a WhatsApp message, and suddenly, we get asked to make a drink for our child, or the dog comes in, or someone comes to the door. So you get distracted and you go off and do something else. So those reminders and those nudges are really important. So really, I'm going to finish off by saying it's a massive opportunity. If you're not using WhatsApp this year yet, you really need to start to consider it before your competitors do, because people are going to be jumping on it, and they already are at a huge rate. So I am here to help you to do that. If you want any advice, any ideas, I'm happy to jump on a discovery call and just run through ideas with you, answer any questions you might have. Obviously, this is something that we do. We help clients to build up and run and manage campaigns for them. We'll manage the monthly messaging, regular messaging, broadcasts, all that kind of stuff, and make it very easy. But we can also provide training, and some of our clients, we will set up campaigns, and then we will train their team, and their team will take over certain elements of it. So really, it depends on the organisation. So please do scan this QR code. It will take you through the best way to really experience it. I know you've seen everything that I've shown you now, but go onto your phone and actually try it out. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you through an interactive flow and just show you exactly how it works now, and you can really get a good feel and sense for it. So I hope that was really useful. So I'm just going to answer a couple of questions that are coming in now just before we finish. So got a question here from Bex. Can you convert a personal WhatsApp to a business WhatsApp? No, you don't. You need to set up a new, if you're doing it in this way, it's through Business API, so it's through the Meta Business Suite. So you set up a new WhatsApp number in the Meta Business Suite, and then you would opt your members into that channel. So they're not on a group, so they can't see each other. So it would be separate to your group. So if you've got a community where you've already got a group that engage with each other, you would keep that going, because that's the engagement for them to talk to each other. This is more for you to have the one-to-one conversation with them in an interactive way. And yes, it does have to be managed through the Meta Business Suite. And it can connect with messages. So if you use ManyChat, there's a question here about, does it connect with messages coming through Messenger? So yes, in ManyChat, you can connect your Facebook, your Instagram, and your WhatsApp, and you can see messages coming in from all three channels, which is super useful, actually. So we have one client who have a really, really busy Instagram and Facebook message space. So people are always messaging them on those channels as well. So they can actually manage those messages within ManyChat much more efficiently than doing them directly on each platform. So yeah, you can absolutely do that. If you scan that code, you'll also get access to a free PDF, which go through the ideas and everything that I've discussed today. And I've got one last thing actually. we've got a little fun 90s quiz. So if you love your 90s like me and you want to take the quiz, it's just a fun way of seeing how you can do a quiz in WhatsApp, but see how many you get. Let me know. I always like to know how many people got in their how good their 90s movie knowledge is. So thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope this has been useful. Please do get in touch if we can help you at all. And I hope you have a very great day, whatever you're doing, and a very successful rest of the week. See you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.